Hey guys, and welcome to the world famous Beating the Press podcast, where we talk all things football. If that's your type of thing, click the subscribe button, the like button, all that good stuff down below. I'm Kristian, this is Ty, and today we will be talking about Steven Gerard. So Steven Gerrard's actually been appointed as the Aston Villa manager. He's up and left Rangers, some might say in the lurch. But yeah, he's obviously seek the opportunity to come to the Premier League, and a lot of people are talking about maybe this is a stepping stone to Liverpool. And today we're just going to talk upon whether it's a good move for Stevie, is a good move for Aston Villa, and everything in between. Just want to get your thoughts on that, Ty. And first of all, how are you doing anyway?
I'm doing all right. I mean, there was a joke that me and you used to sort of throw back and forth at each other a while ago. Our listeners, our sort of more loyal listeners might remember this. So we used to always take the piss and say, "Where's your top?" Genuinely, where is your top?
I can't find it.
I can't see it here. So this is so we're recording this. Normally it's 5-a-side night. We've had to cancel a game tonight, and this is obviously our top. But yeah, I think we might have to buy another one, and I think you're paying for the next lot.
So let's get it clear. You're only actually wearing it because you actually had a game.
But the game got cancelled. Well, that's not the point. The question is, where's yours? Let's try to not dodge the thing again. I don't know what is that. What are you wearing there? Is it a random Primark jobbing before you go on holiday?
I think it is. I think it's the $3.99 job from Madeline.
You don't knock it. It looks all right. Yeah, I'm all right. Thanks for asking. It's an interesting one. Obviously, I mean, firstly, if we just sort of rewind and go back to, I'm shocked Dean Smith got sacked. I don't know. I mean, how has he got sacked?
Horrific decision.
That is, I mean, absolutely brutal. I know they didn't lose in 5 games, so they sacked him. But what he did last year, they've been playing okay. They've not been bad. Do you know what I mean? They've been doing all right. It's not like you're an absolute free fall. You could have any manager. Villa would not be in the relegation battle. Do you know what I mean? Stevie G's coming. We obviously love him as a player. I think he's phenomenal. As a manager, I don't think anything of him at the moment. I mean, he's obviously done brilliant at Rangers. I've heard the counter argument from people saying it's only Rangers. You know what I mean? Anyone? It's a two team league, innit? And I get that, but it's still a huge club.
Rangers are massive.
I know.
I've heard it a number of times. Like, you go abroad, you see their shirts. Yeah. You go anywhere in the world, you see the Rangers shirt. It's just obviously the league. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I've heard some stuff on social media from English fans saying it's an upgrade for Stevie to go to Villa from Rangers. Rangers are a massive club. Do you know what I mean? And the Rangers fans coming in, Villa. I heard one comment which I thought was quite funny. Villa wouldn't even fit in Rangers' back pocket. That's small. Do you know what I mean? I mean, whatever we think of it, I think we know why Stevie's come to Premier League. But I know. I think for me, if I was to have a guess, it would be he obviously wants a more competitive league. He knows this is where all the action is. You know what I mean? It's a Premier League. It's on 24/7. For him, I'd imagine he'd only need to sort of really prepare for the games against Celtic and the European games. At least now, I think he's got. You know what I mean? It's going to be more difficult for him. It's more of a challenge for him. But Villa are a big club in their own right, and I mean that because they've got a lot of money. I mean, they're bigger than Rangers because they've got more money. That's it. In terms of history and fans and all that, and it's Rangers. But I can see why he's gone to it. I mean, Dean Smith has spent a lot of money. They've still got a brilliant squad, so I think he could go in and work and do some real good stuff there. I think I'd imagine from where they are now, I'd be interested to see what the targets are for the season. It'd probably be a top half finish. Can we sneak into a European place? Brilliant. But yeah, no, I think it's a bad move from Villa getting rid of Dean Smith. I don't think Steven Gerrard's a massive upgrade from Dean Smith. That's what I see it.
Well, that's what you've got to be asking, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what you've got to ask the board. Is Steven Gerrard better than Dean Smith?
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly, and that's an absolute fair question and a relevant question. But then it's like the board have got to go and then make the decision. But they've done it backwards because once you've sacked Dean Smith, you can't go back and bring Dean Smith back. You see what's on the market, you think, oh, you've got an idea who you're going after. Like any of those better than what you want. Well, if not, stick with what you've got. You're going through a bad spell. It's not like they've fallen off a cliff and they're horrendous. They're playing bad football. Results and I know it's a results business, but there's a big thing about having your performances have got to be good as well. Do you know what I mean? You can play bad and you can play well and lose games, and I don't think that's a sackable offence. But unfortunately, it's just a knee-jerk reaction. It almost felt like there was like a 2-week period where about 4 or 5 managers got sacked, and Villa were like, we better get someone else in as well. We better get rid of Dean Smith. You know, they almost panicked, and I didn't get that. I really, really did not get that sacking. But now that it's happened, you've ended up with Gerrard, and I personally don't think he's a huge upgrade on Dean Smith. Now, anyone that knows me and listens to us knows Stevie G is like one of my favourite players ever, and obviously Liverpool's a legend, he's a hero of mine. He's made, I've had some of the greatest moments in my footballing life watching him play. Do you know what I mean? So that's not any dig on Stevie. It's, but I don't know. He might turn up Villa and they finish top 6, and it's an unbelievable seeing the win a cup with Stevie G in charge. You know what I mean? But I just think as it is at the moment, I think it was a bad initial decision to sack Smith. I hope Stevie does really well because I love him.
Stevie's my best player of all time. Like he's my favourite player of all time.
Damn.
And he's not the best player of all time. He's my favourite.
No, I get that. I get your favourite. Yeah, I'm damning at the favourite bit.
Yeah, like I can't, like, if I think about who my favourite player is ever at Liverpool, obviously it's got to be a Liverpool player. It can't be anyone for me other than Stevie, just because of, like you said, the moments that he's given us. So first and foremost, I'm a Stevie fan. I've got no allegiance to Rangers. I've got no allegiance to Aston Villa. But I kind of feel like he's made not the wrong move. It's just maybe the right move at the wrong time, perhaps. I'll come back to Stevie himself, but I'm like you. The Dean Smith sacking is absolutely ridiculous. Like I'm looking at the Aston Villa results of recent, and bear in mind, I've not watched the games, not all the games anyway. I did actually watch the one against Man United, and that was the last time that they won. It was at the end of September. And barring the West Ham game, where it looks like I think it will be 4-1, but they got a man sent off, it was still close at that point. Every one of them games, every one of them games were close. You've got the Wolves game, they finished 3-2, they were 2-0 up, and then there was a crazy last 5 minutes where I think they conceded 3 goals. So even the likes of Jurgen Klopp, we had a lot of injuries, like Aston Villa do currently. We had a lot of injuries last year, and we couldn't buy a win at home, like 7 games in a row, and then that's coming from a team that hasn't lost a game at home in like 3 years. So these things do happen, and again, so now I've got up Dean Smith's managerial record since joining Villa since in October 2018. The first season he joined them in October, he got them to the playoffs. They got promoted to the Premier League. His first full season in the Premier League, he finished 17th and got them into the EFL Cup final, and obviously got beat by Man City. Last season was his 3rd full season with them, and they finished 11th. Playing some good football. Obviously, the hammered us 7-1, like smashing us 7-1 in the process. And I remember watching Villa thinking,
7-2,
yeah. I think, weren't they like near top of the league, like in the title race up until about Christmas? Like it just goes to show how quickly it can all change. And now, just because of like a bad few results and a lot of players out injured, they sacked him. In reality, Aston Villa, regardless, are not going to get relegated. We're in a league with Newcastle, Norwich, Watford. They're not worse than them 3 teams. Yeah, I know it's easy to say, you're never too good to go down and all that, but they're not going to go down, considering when they get the players back. So I just wonder, the reason why I say I don't think it's a good move for Stevie is because what do Aston Villa expect? Yeah. You've got to finish in the top 7 places in order to finish in Europe. And I'm presuming maybe top 10 would be the first aim. Dean Smith got him to 11th, like close enough. And he's getting the sack. So can you finish in the top 7? You've got the usual suspects, let's say the top 4 that finished last season, the top 4, we'll just discount them. You've got a flying West Ham. You've got settled Arsenal side now. You've got Brighton who are doing well. You've got Tottenham who've just got a new manager who's going to turn things around with them, you'd think. Everton, Leicester, Palace, who are even doing not too bad. Eventually Leeds. You've got all those teams, is he going to finish above every one of them? Like, I just don't understand the board's rationale behind hiring Stevie. And I do think it's a better move for Stevie than it is for Villa, but I just don't understand it.
I think that's a great point you made. I absolutely agree with that. I definitely think it's a better move for Stevie than it is Villa. I don't know why it took so long for him to say yes, I'll sign on the dotted lines. I mean, the good thing is, and I think it's like, you remember when Lampard left Derby to go to Chelsea? That was a ridiculous move and jump from a team that he's not even got him up in the playoffs. He's basically failed in playoffs, and then he's taken over Chelsea. The Rangers, when I get, he's won the league. He's played in those pressure moments. He's won. He's got qualified. He's played in Europe. He's got that experience. He's got some experience of sort of elite level football. When I say elite, I mean, league titles and playing in Europe, not like Championship. I get that's elite as well. And then moving to Aston Villa. Now, I'm with you. I just, and I think that, we're almost repeating ourselves, but the mistake was done when Dean Smith got sacked. So moving that all aside, it's now moving forward, looking forward. Now you got Steven Gerard. What do you look like going forward? Is he going to be given money in January to go and buy, or are they going to say the players we've got are good enough? Now, you've also got to take account Jack Grealish, whether he's played shit at Man City or not, that's irrelevant. He was Villa's best player last season. A lot of the player went through, and do you know what I mean? He was brilliant there. Now, the issue with all top players whenever they go to Man City or Liverpool is they're not the top player of that team anymore because they're better players than him. So he's having to sort of, get accustomed to that. Now, whether it is a success or failure, again, irrelevant. The point is, Villa lost their best player. So the way they play, everything's just sort of gone. The other thing, we've spoken about this before, Tyrone Mings isn't great, but he had a good season last season. So now he's playing back to where I think his level is. And he's actually dropped him a couple of games as well, even though I think he's a club captain, if I'm not mistaken. And he's dropped him. So there's players that are out of form as well, that aren't doing as well as they should do. And then I said this to you at the start of the season when we were picking the fantasy football, and more about Watkins and Ings. Now, I think that's an issue because the way they played last season with Grealish, it was a 4-2-3-1. So you've got the one striker as in Watkins, okay? Now, Ings and Watkins are both number 9s. You can play Watkins out wide, but he's just completely losing all of his qualities and values, okay? You want him up front as a 9. That's where he's strong. That's where he brings you the most joy for your team. Now, he changed his formation. The one thing also about Dean Smith, he changed his formation at the start of the season. Well, after a few games, and to get them both, and went 3-5-2. Villa are not a 3-5-2. Matty Target and Cash are not wing backs, okay? They're a very solid fullback. Cash is probably more of an attacking fullback. He can get on the outside. He's got a decent delivery. Target is about as the most defensive left back you're going to find in Europe. Do you know what I mean? So to change the team and the formation, the structure to fit Ings in, that's the knock-on effect. Now that you've got 4-2-3-1, okay, we'll go with that. They've even played a tight 4-4-2 just to get them two in. So it's almost like now, does Stevie come back and think, right, okay, I'm only going to play one of them, but I'm going to play 4-2-3-1. Do you know what I mean? So these little decisions that you've got to make, the similarities between that and the Ronaldo stuff, so you bought Ronaldo, and Ronaldo's got to play. Now, what formation do you play? What do you do with all the other players? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes people don't think of, when you buy, there are certain players you buy that have got to start. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're signing, you're saying, yeah, you're going to be a starter, you'll play, whatever. You've got Ings in now and you've got Watkins in, and I think that's had a huge knock-on effect. And the fact you've lost Grealish and the fact Mings has been massively out of form. So I think all of those things, combined together have created where they are. But I still think they've been playing okay, and he didn't deserve to get sacked. Unless there's something going on within the changing room and he's lost the players and some of the senior players have gone to the owners. You never know, dear. I don't think it had that sort of culture to it, but you never know.
No. But I just want to know your thoughts on like the impact that you think that he will have coming into the dressing room. Like, it must be a case of Stevie G's walking in and, he's always been, whenever I've listened to Liverpool players and other players in the past, they've always wanted to go in. Doesn't matter about the manager or anything like that. They always want to impress Stevie.
Yeah.
Their first training session, if you think about Peter Crouch, I've heard him a number of times saying the first person I want to impress was him. And he just seems to have, for me, he just seems to have that about him. And I don't want to say this because it's a massive comparison, but, you think of Sir Alex Ferguson. I can't imagine Sir Alex Ferguson was a tactical genius behind the scenes. He had a lot of people doing the coaching and everything like that. He just knew how to manage people really well, buy people at the right time, get rid of people. But people always seem to the respect. It was always about the respect with Sir Alex. You always wanted to do well for him.
Yeah.
What type of manager do you see him as? Like, because again, I'll just preface that with, you have the likes of Lampard, who played under Mourinho. He played under Ancelotti, I believe. He played under some great managers. Stevie G, he played under Benitez. That's about as good as it really got.
Yeah.
What type of manager do you think he will be? And do you think it will be do you think it will be?
I mean, I thought, just to go back to your first point, I thought you were going to go down a path that I was thinking of in the end, but you obviously haven't. We're talking about Gerrard, and as a player going in, as a manager going in, and all these players will have seen Gerrard play. They would have just absolutely loved some of the goals he scored. So the first thing, you've got the respect. I was thinking you were going to say when Zidane went to Real Madrid. Obviously, Zidane's a lot better than Real Madrid, than Gerrard. But the whole impact of when you grow up watching Zidane, wow, Zidane's my manager. It doesn't make a difference. He could be the worst manager in the world, tactically inept. But the fact you've got one of the greatest players ever as your manager now, you're going to look up to him. Like everything he says, even if you agree with him, you'll be like, I'll run through a brick wall for you. Now, I think Stevie G will have that same impact as well, because they've got quite a British core as well. Do you know what I mean? There's quite a few English and Scottish players, and they'll get that. But a lot of those players will have seen Stevie G, play and the stuff that he's done over the years, and I think that's going to have a huge impact on it. The question of how they play, I think he's always spoke about being a very sort of progressive, attacking, expansive manager. So he'll want to play through the thirds, he'll want to play aggressive, high press, the normal sort of standard way of playing. Obviously, you're limited by the quality of player you've got. But that's the way he's going. And I think he'd be a bit more direct as well. But he isn't a manager who will give up on his beliefs. If stuff goes wrong, he's going to be very stubborn. He'll be like, this is the way we're going to play, and this is the way we're going to stick to it. Do you know what I mean? And we're going to go through.
As a coach yourself, do you think that that's something that you can learn on the job? Because if I think of like Xavi for instance, or Zidane, particularly Xavi, who grew up in La Masia and an environment, a culture, a certain way of playing football. Do you think that that's something that Stevie has enough time to develop his own style?
I think the last, however long he's been here, or is it 3 years? I think he's been there. So however long he's been there, he's done all that. He's learned that. And I know today he was on about, I think it might be a few days ago, he was going to get, I think it's Michael Bailey's first team coach. Who are you going to
Is that the Man City guy?
No, it's not. It's not Michael. It's Michael someone. I think he was at Liverpool before, but yeah, he's his first team coach, so he's taking him along with him. Now, the bit about fine tuning your philosophy, you do that through the coaching badges, but it's irrelevant because you never really put it to practice until you're actually in a team and a team for a long period of time. He's obviously been that at 3 years at Rangers. That's long enough to sort of embed your philosophy, your culture, and how you want your team to play. Now, you go to Villa, you're still going to have those ideas, same philosophies. You'll start off with those same training sessions. Now, there won't be huge amount of differences between where Villa play, because they still play. Villa is still quite, a front foot attacking team. They're not going to be huge amounts of. There'll obviously be slight tweaks, slight different patterns of play. But this is a professional football club, where you train 2-3 times a day. So you'll have enough time to get that, embedded within there.
Yeah.
Though what I would say, I wouldn't expect a massive change within the first few weeks, because or even the first few months, because it takes time for players. Players have been they've been under Dean Smith for the last 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So have a new manager comes in. There'll obviously be that new manager bounce where you come in and play. Your team starts picking up results. I say new manager bounce. It usually happens, but it might not happen this time. But you get the gist.
That's some tricky games.
I know he has. I know. And so then when he goes in, and then it's just understanding, how he exactly wants them to play. Those little sort of small, fine moments in games and how to manage them and how to, they've got some. I'm just thinking of the players that they've got. I mean, Leon Bailey is brilliant. So he's almost good. Well, he's going to have to, he'll play. You got McGinn and Louise. You got Nkamba, who's played whilst Louise has been out. You got Matty Cash. You got Konzo, I think is brilliant. Mings has had a massive. He's been out. You got Courtney House as well, who should have got sent off that last time. See that right arm, forearm in that game. That was naughty. That in VAR. And they've got one of the best keepers in the league. And they've obviously got Watkins and Ings as well. So they've got some really, I mean, Buendia as well. He's not started playing yet, Buendia, and he's a baller. So he's got some top player. I mean, really good Premier League players in that squad. So it'd be interesting to see how he sets up. And the way he wants them to play will be the same, I think. You know what I mean? He's not going to be very direct. He's not going to ask them to smash it up to Ings and Watkins and play for seconds. That's not the kind of manager he is. But it'll be very much sort of, you know, play out from the back, but play with a purpose, I think. You know, I mean, I always think that the way everyone wants to be, when Guardiola first came on the scene, everyone wanted to be Guardiola. All the teams wanted to play like him. All the managers wanted to coach like him. But the reality of it is you've got to be so clear in your thought process and then how you want to play that if you're playing out from the back and you give the ball away 3 times in the first half, I've seen plenty of coaches and teams just think, you know, this ain't working, we're just going to smash it. But you see Guardiola saying, keep doing it. Mistakes, I don't care. Keep doing it. I want my keeper to play out. I want it to keep doing. I mean,
Edison, responsibility, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I remember doing it with Valdez.
He kept doing it. Think what they're doing. You know, even away. I remember away at the Bernabeu, he's got Valdez playing the ball at Piqué on the sort of touch on the touchline. I'm like, and then back on the byline as well. And I'm like, wow. This is just like beyond anything we've seen before, but it was bravery, and you understood because it gets you angry. You press higher, and it's understanding. Once you've beaten that press, you've taken about 4 or 5 players out of the game. You're on like 9v5. Do you know what I mean? You can create over. That's it. That's half the game. So it was just trying to understand and play. But again, I mean, just going back to the point, it's gonna take a while for Gerrard to embed how he wants them to play. But there's some really good players in that Villa team.
I just want to segue. We'll just quickly come back to the Villa thing, but you mentioned Pep Guardiola there. I just want to know, did you hear the thing about Stephen Warnock? Stephen Warnock, what he said. Neil Warnock, Middlesbrough manager, who's just obviously been sacked on Garden.
Was it mutually consent or was it sacked?
Yeah, mutually consent, but in reality, I think he was pushed out. Just over 1,600 games, which is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, and he made a very bold statement. I don't know if you heard it. That he rated his top 3 managers, and Sir Alex, I believe he came third.
Wow.
You had Pep Guardiola at number 1, Jurgen Klopp at number 2, I believe. No, sorry. And then I think it was Arsene Wenger. I think it was them 3 as the top 3, and then Alex Ferguson was number 4.
Wow.
And yeah, he basically put Guardiola at the top. I think Guardiola, then it went Wenger, then it went to Jurgen Klopp. But he said that Jurgen Klopp will probably be number 1 by the time his career is over. Just your thoughts on that. Now, I'll preface that with Pep Guardiola. He said that because every manager he's changed the way that everybody wants to play. That's his overall influence on the game. Arsene Wenger for what he done for the Premiership as a whole, how he changed everything, the way that they're eating and everything like that. And then Jurgen Klopp has just come along in different type of style of playing and his heavy metal type football, and he's going to take it on to what he believes is the next level. And then Sir Alex, your thoughts on that? There's a top 4.
Shocked. I saw someone else put one of the top 4s on. Fergie was at number 1. I don't know if he doesn't like Fergie or what, but I think they have a decent relationship. It's interesting. It's what you've done overall for the league, but I think the game has the fact that Warnock, someone who we would potentially class as a dinosaur, and has been there for 600 games, been there for decades. And he sees Guardiola as where he is. I think that is and Klopp so high that is a brilliant compliment to both of those 2 managers, what they have done for the Premier League and what they have done to the game. Now, Guardiola absolutely changed the game in the Premier League. What he did not, everywhere else is fine. There's always going to be an argument for Guardiola that you always come and pick up the best team in every league you manage. So it's always going to be easier. It's not rocket science. I get you can, advance it and do all that. Jurgen Klopp's a really, really interesting one because he has not had the budget that, I mean, if you look at the budgets, it's just ridiculous. It's not, it's just stupid. He has been given, I don't know if he's been given some really good players and turned them into some of the best players in the world. Now that in its own, if you look at that, on its own and you look at it and you think, that's not that hard. He's a top manager. He should be able to coach. He should be able to do all this. And then you add in the fact he's won the Premier League title with Liverpool as well after 30 years. If you combine all that together, and then what is done, and the season when they lost by a point, then win a Champions League, get to a Champions League final, the consistency that Klopp's Liverpool has shown over the last 3 or 4 years is phenomenal. And then we're going to go back to what they've got as well in terms of, they've only got a strong 13, 14. You know, we're still relying on Origi and Minamino to come on and save the day against West Ham. You look at Man City, they've got about 7, 8 forwards that can come on. Do you know? So I think I completely get it. And I agree with Warnock as well. I think by the end of it, when he retires, he's just going to be, because he just, I think that there's a thing about Klopp. When you ever hear interviews with old players that are now so-called pundits, and they ask him, which manager would you like to play under? They always say Klopp. They've played the game. They all say Klopp. He's a manager that you want to play for. Whereas Guardiola, you know, there's a bit of arrogance. There's a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Like, you know, it's always my way or highway. There'll be no compromises. That's it. You know what I mean? What I've decided is what I'm going to do. With Klopp, you feel like there's probably not going to be a compromise as well, but his management skills are just so much better. And I think Klopp is finally getting the credit he deserves as a bit of a tactical genius as well, because he doesn't get that. Because he comes across as the bear hugging, bear punching manager and going crazy at the end of the season. You know, at the end of the game, that's all he is. But he's more than that. He's shown that as well.
Yeah, he seems to have a great mix of all the qualities combined. He may not be the best at everything, but combined, he's just the tops. Now, that's a perfect way to segue back. Klopp's deal expires in summer of 2024 for Liverpool. So obviously, the next question I'm going to ask you is, Stevie G, do you feel like this was a move that he needed to make in order to become Liverpool's manager potentially in 2024? Bearing in mind that, you know, Liverpool could potentially pass this on to someone like Pep Lijnders in the background. Do you think this is a move that Stevie needed to make?
I think Stevie G has been asked the question before. He's like, he's nowhere near good enough to be Liverpool manager yet. And he's right. What we know, 2021, 22 coming up. Are you telling me Klopp's going to leave in 2 years? I don't think so. I think Klopp's there for the long run. I think once he retires, I think once he leaves that, he'll probably have a good break and then go to the Germany national manager. I think that's the natural progress for him. I don't know. Do I want Stevie G as manager now? No. Do I want him in 2-3 years? We want best in class. The thing is, the thing is, we want best in class. Do you know what I mean? And that's what it is. We don't want to do what Man United did or what Chelsea did, bring in the next players. You know what I mean? Who did the job? We tried this before in the 90s when we bought Roy Evans and, you know what I mean, that Guardian and tried a bit of Graham Souness in as well. It doesn't work. Do you know what I mean? You're brilliant. As a player. I mean, don't get me wrong. He may well work for us and he'd be brilliant, but I think leave him at Villa and see what he's like. You know, he's got to keep a job for a couple of years because it's hard keeping a job in the Premier League. You know, it's not easy. You get, especially at Villa if you have 5 bad games. But I mean, I'd love him to be a Liverpool manager at some point, but not. I mean, again, Pep Lijnders, I think, you know, probably makes more sense. You know what I mean? But then again, then the argument comes along. It's like, you know, number 2s don't always make great number 1s, and I just think across the board, if we're looking at Stevie G to be Liverpool manager, I want Klopp to be manager as long as possible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's very difficult, like, because obviously we love our manager. It's very difficult to replicate that success once he's gone. So the natural thought process is that you pass him on to someone who's been working under him. So, like, again, Pep Lijnders, and that's why we had the whole boot room concept at Liverpool, where, you know, the mentality, the way of playing, it continues all the way through. Kind of like Barcelona, the way that they, you know, their philosophy has stuck throughout the years since Cruyff revolutionized it. But I would love to see Stevie eventually, you know, like, you know, even if he's got to be Pep Lijnders number 2 for about his season. But I would love to see it, just to be, you know, he couldn't win the league as a player, and that redemption arc all the way just to win the title as a manager, it would be unbelievable.
The thing now though, there's no chance of him being a number 2. Like, once you're number 1 as a manager,
once you're number 1, you don't. Yeah,
you're never going to be a number 2 to anyone now. That is a manager. I think that's just the path. He's just going to have to wait for it. And I'd imagine it comes up. There'll be a huge fan furore around. Let's get Stevie G in. Do you know what I mean? We want him as a manager, but I think we just, you know, let's just keep Jürgen there, keep whatever he wants, keep him. I mean, obviously we lost Michael Edwards So I think they've got the other. They've got bigger. I mean, I think Stevie G needs to just perform well at Villa first. I mean, I think there's potentially a level between Villa and Liverpool as well, because Liverpool are one of the best teams in the world. You're not going to jump from a mid-table Premier League team to the best team in the world. You potentially do Villa, and then there's an argument for him to go abroad and manage someone like Dortmund. I don't know, comes up, or does he do Liverpool? Or does he do Villa, and then he takes that step up and to maybe manage, I don't know, Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? And then Liverpool. So there's quite a few arguments there for what he'd do. What about you? How do you see it?
He's got to be careful. He's got to be very careful, because I believe that this has more chance of it going wrong than right, in my opinion. Just because, like I said, the amount of quality teams. We spoke on Rangers. In reality, you just need to beat one team, and you're effectively the best in the league. Whereas in England, you've got 10, 11 teams that are all fighting for those top positions. So for me, it's very difficult. It's a ballsy move. I love that he's done it, and I wouldn't expect anything less than that. But if you look at Lampard, who's he linked with now? Norwich. He could be the next Norwich manager by the time that this podcast comes out, and they're going down. They're deeper than Wiltshire. They're going down. So, you know what I mean? And then
I like that. Not heard it before.
And then you've got you've got Tuchel, who came in, and he's kind of showed how a proper manager with years behind him, who's kind of worked his way up, like you mentioned, progressively, and now he's got to a level where he's at. So he's got to be careful that he's not jumping too fast. And for me, I would have just loved to have seen him another year with Rangers, or till the end of this season, because let's not beat around the bush. I love Stevie G, but he's left them in the shit. He's left them in the shit, leaving middle of the season. He absolutely has.
But you're never going to leave.
The 4 points clear.
Whenever you leave a club, you're always going to leave them in the lurch. It's just the nature of the beast. As a manager, when you decide to make that
middle of the season,
you never go. But you never go thinking, you never go with the intention of leaving them in a bad place. You're going with the intention of, I'm going to a club to. You don't want to leave unless you leave on bad terms, which they haven't. And I don't think he went with the intention of that. I just think, they're going to get whoever they get in. Rangers will win the league. I think they're a bit better than Celtic anyway. You know what I mean?
But that's the point. Stevie has left them in a way better position than what he went there. So he's done an amazing job. No Rangers fan will doubt that. But this is a massive season for Rangers. It's absolutely huge. And the reason being is that, whoever wins the league this season, they're going straight into the Champions League. They haven't got to qualify. That's straight away, that's 40 million quid extra to them immediately for next season. So to go straight into the Champions League next year, that would have been something. And I just thought that he would be the one that would have took them there. But I know a few Rangers fans, one in particular, and they see it as a slight that Stevie's effectively chosen Aston Villa over Rangers. But in reality, we both said it. Rangers are a massive club. He hasn't chosen Aston Villa over Rangers. He's chosen the Premier League over the SPL.
Yeah,
and I do think it's a ballsy move. I do think it's the right move for his career. I just hope it goes better than I expected to.
And just to sort of finish on something, I just think one thing I think the Premier League will be better for having him there is his interviews. If you ever heard him from it, they bring it. He doesn't hold. He doesn't back down. He's a straight shooter. You ask him a question, you'll get an answer. There's a lot of emotion there. He is how he played. Do you know what I mean? He sees a game and he doesn't like bullshit yet. And I think he gets on. That's the fans will appreciate that as well. But
he doesn't suffer fools lightly. That's what I loved about Roy Keane when he was a manager as well.
Yeah, but again, we talk about Roy Keane as a manager, and see how that went. So it's exactly. I just I love him, but I hope it goes well for him. But it's with a slightly reserved optimism, if that's a sentence.
Just one question for you, and probably maybe the question of the day. I don't know whether you've got a question in mind.
Yes, that's fine. We'll go with your question of the day. Well,
yeah. What is a good season for Steven Gerard this season, and then a full pre-season behind him, and then next season? What is Steven Gerrard's goal? Let's say for the end of next season.
Well, first thing, I hope this doesn't sound like a joke, is for him to still be in a job. because it's going to be tough. Because if he goes, say he starts now and we get to March and he's struggling, he could go. You know what I mean? If Villa are near the relegation zone, he could go, regardless of how good his match, his interviews are. I think this season, if he finishes mid-table, they'll be happy, decent cup run. And then next season, I think they'd be wanting to be challenging for European places. There'll be more money thrown in because they're rich. They've got some money, the owners. I think they'd be wanting top 7, top 8 the following season. But I think the important thing, I think that's where Gerrard's ambitions are as well. Gerrard wants to be playing in Europe. Yeah. He didn't want to be playing in mid-table Premier League. And I think that's another reason why I think he left Rangers, thinking, I don't want to leave Rangers when I'm in European football. If I'm leaving for a club, I want a club that's got a real chance of playing in Europe. And I think Villa have.
Yeah.
What about you?
Absolutely.
I'll ask you your own question.
No, I'm like you. I think all he needs to do this season is just have a comfortable course towards the end of the season, show a little bit of promise. And obviously, he hasn't got a pre-season this year, so he'll have a full pre-season behind him, a couple of his own players. And then, I expect that they will expect him to finish in the European places. But with 7 places up for grabs as Europe, I see 7 teams, maybe even 8, 9 that are better than Villa currently, and with more established managers and players in place.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. I think that the issue with, despite getting all this money in football and all these new owners and stuff, there's only so many places. Only can have so many European places. Only so many winners. So we've got, I say a top 3 because that's what it is. There's a drop off to the rest. You've got Man United who eventually going to sell. They'd love to sell him. Sack Solskjaer. And then you've got Arsenal there as well with 5. You've got Spurs 6, Leicester 7, West Ham 8. You've got Newcastle, who are the richest team. If they don't go down, they'll be up there. That's 9. Do you know what I mean? I'm talking. You've got Brighton, Everton. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Everton and Villa are probably on, but these are that's who they're battling with. Your Brightons and your Evertons. Maybe even Leicester, but Leicester aren't as bad as what they are. They're just going through a bit of I just think and across the whole league is in these new owners that keep coming in with the money. I mean, it's millions, but to them it's peanuts. And you're looking at it and thinking they want to be higher. But there's only like so many places you can fit in. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And
I just think So I'm surprised. Going back to that original point, I'm just shocked that they got into Dean Smith. But Villa want to be in European places. Villa probably their owners want to be challenging for Champions League. That's where they see it.
I'll go as far as saying this: if he puts them in the top 7 next season, like his first full season behind him, it's up there with one of the biggest achievements that you can get. Going from where that team is right now, and comparatively the rest of the teams that are in the league, that's going to be one hell of a job. We've seen what Patrick Vieira's managed to do in a small amount of time with Crystal Palace. So it's not impossible, but I just can't see it.
No, neither can I. Right, guys, as always, when we say we get to this part of the podcast, if you've listened this far, you must love us. Or you must like us a little bit. Give us a like, subscribe, share with your friends and family. And hopefully we've got some Scottish listeners on today. Hi, guys, you're right. Give us a like and subscribe. Share it with your mates. I'm going to share it with a few of my Rangers mates as well, who I know absolutely love. They've been up there quite a bit as well. So if you guys can share with your friends and family as well, I might buy you a drink next time I see you. Anything from you, Chris?
No, like you, we've got a couple of Rangers mates, so I'll be happy to share this with. I'm just glad you didn't slate them. Like I said, we both agree they're a massive club, and I wish them well. I hope they do.
I do work with a Villa fan as well, so I'll plug it with him as well. I'll get the old Villa fans. Share it with your mates as well. Right, guys, so that wraps up today's podcast. Let us know, question of the day, answer down there. We always do inside. If you put something down there, we'll get back to you. We'll respond. Get involved on Twitter with us. There's loads of good stuff normally when we don't have life in the way. We will spend a good hour or so on it and get some engagement going. But as always, guys, thank you for listening, and we shall see you on the next one. Bye.
See you later, guys.